So I'm gay. I've struggled with feeling proud of being me. I've received death threats, wishes that I had an accident on the way home, but I didn't die, that I was paralysed and suffered for the rest of my life. If you are struggling, like I did, then seek help.
David, you're enjoying your elite level career, and then on November the 11th last year, this video was dropped on social media in which you are filmed calling Jurgen Klopp a German C word. I think you referenced Liverpool as could you tell us where and how that video was filmed, please?
I think the first thing that I want to do is apologise to anybody who I've offended by my actions. I recognise that they fell well short of standards that are expected of a top-level referee, and I deeply regret saying what I said and finding myself in the position that I found myself. That video has been sat with somebody for more than 4 years. I'd forgotten it existed, and I was sat waiting for my car to be serviced, and I received a call to say that this video has surfaced on social media. And as you can tell from the video, I clearly wasn't sober. I deeply regret that I found myself in that position and making the comments that I made that aren't reflective of either my views, of any of the individuals concerned, or my wider views in general.
Did you know the video was being taken at the time?
I did, yeah, because it was, say, with a friend, and I believed that it was going to a friend of his, so I did know it was being taken, yeah. But obviously didn't realise that it would end up in public domain.
Do you know why they took that decision to put it on social media?
I really don't. It was obviously about the Liverpool manager and the Liverpool game at that time, and I just refereed Liverpool against Aston Villa, but there was certainly no real issue with regard to that game. Liverpool won the game comfortably. So I really have no idea why it would be released when it was, but it was, and I'm responsible for what I said. So I understand that the implications and the consequences that are attributed to that, and I have to own those.
David, a couple of days after the Klopp video appeared on social media, there's the release of a second video, and you're on the front page of the Sun newspaper. An image that showed you snorting cocaine in a UEFA-appointed hotel room last summer. I think it was on July the 6th, a day after you'd been a VAR official for the France-Germany quarter-final. Can you tell us how that video came to be taken?
There's no easy answer to this question. There's a lot of sort of strands to how I ended up in that position at the end of my tournament. And part of it is personal, part of it is football based.
How frequently were you taking cocaine?
Infrequently. The job wouldn't allow that, and it's not something that I was reliant on. It was an entirely ad hoc basis. I made some really poor choices. The personal context for me, it goes way back, and relates to struggles that I've had over the course of time around my self-esteem, and that relates to my sexuality. So I'm gay, and I have struggled with feeling proud of being me over a long period of time. I've felt a deep sense of shame during my teenage years in particular. I didn't come out to my parents until I was 21. I didn't come out to my friends until I was 25, and or thereabouts. I'm an only child to my dad, and I felt that I would be letting him down. I felt that I'd be, I felt it really hard during those years, and I was part of a cricket changing room, and it was very different in the 1990s than it is today. And I'm not trying. I really want to disassociate what I'm saying here and saying that my sexuality isn't the only reason that led me to be in the position that I was, but I'm not telling an authentic story of me if I don't say that I'm gay, and that I've had real struggles over time to be able to deal with hiding that. I've already mentioned about hiding my my emotions as a young referee, and I hid my sexuality through those years as well, and I became pretty good at hiding my emotions as a ref, which was a good quality as a referee, but a terrible quality as a human being.
Did you repress your sexuality outwardly because of football? You didn't feel able to express yourself, and you had to live the secret?
Not wholly because of football, but partly. Partly because as I said, I've struggled to be me through the course of my life, through being through growing up as a teenager, not feeling like I ever fitted, and then as a response to that, then putting on this hard exterior, and this hard exterior actually meant that football became a place where I could go and referee and just be engrossed in the game and in the moment, and but then I'd come home and then it would be more difficult because I'm almost living a double sense of being, in that I'm having to put on this sort of exterior, this hard shell to go and officiate and to be me more publicly, and then try and align that with being me less publicly and at home more privately. So that that's been hard, and one of the main drivers for me to be here and to do this is to try and help others who may be in a similar situation. I felt as though I've had almost a sense of duty to my colleagues to show how difficult their job is, and to other people who are in my situation to say that if you are struggling like I did, still am to a large extent, then seek help and talk to somebody, because if you bottle it up like I have done, it has to come out in some way. Excuse me.
Who was it that alerted you to the video? And in that moment, did you think your career was over?
I received a phone call from the head of communications at PG Mobile, and subsequently a phone call suspending me. And of course, I understood immediately the implications of the seriousness of of what I said, and that was now being known publicly, because the expectations of a referee at the top level of the game are that we're impartial, and as difficult as that might be in terms of some of the wider theories around referees who support the club and shouldn't be officiating games that impact on the club that they support, and actually that couldn't be further from the truth, because when we cross that line, it's red against blue. We're under so much scrutiny that it's impossible to do anything other than just give an honest decision on what you see, because there's no other way of being able to officiate at the top levels of the game under the microscopic view of the media and supporters. So, to continue the chronology, so to speak, May in 2023, I lost my mum. I was actually in Greece doing a game, and came off the game to that message, or to the message to speak to my dad. I lost her very suddenly. And so the summer of 2023 wasn't easy. The same sort of time, my uncle, my dad's brother, was also diagnosed with motor neurons disease. So it's a really tough time for my family.
David, on November the 15th, there was another story emerged. The suggestion of arranging a drugs party at half-time during the Spurs-Man City Carabao Cup tie on October the 30th, and some messages you were having back and forward. Is that something that you would say came about because of exactly what you've just explained to us, the sort of pressure cooker inside you, that because of your repressed sexuality, because of the stress of the job, is that all part of the same secret life that was bubbling away inside you?
It is. I think it's important to say that was never going to be a thing. I was at training camp the next day, and saw everybody at training camp the next day that was in Loughborough. So it was literally, as I said, when I referred to other behaviours, in order to escape, move away, then messaging was part of that. It was almost like a different me, and again, it's something that I really regret doing, but it's not something that was ever actually sort of on the cards as such. It was literally just messages backwards and forwards, and with no real meaning to them.
David, on November the 26th last year, there was a new investigation by the Footballers Association after messages emerged from 2019 before Leeds played West Brom, and some chat that you had with someone about Leeds' fullback Alioski getting a yellow card. And of course, he was booked subsequently, and after that game, I think you messaged him, I hope you backed as discussed. Have you ever been involved in spot fixing?
No, I haven't. And the rest of the context of those messages are for all to see as were published. There was no agreement prior. I went and did my job. There was no agenda before going out onto the field. The player committed a yellow card tackle, that's clear. and I did my duty and did my job and showed a yellow card, I wasn't in a great place, and I was messaging people that I, in hindsight, shouldn't have trusted and naively trusted. And in that sense, I regret having the conversation, but only in that sense. I made some really poor choices, and I really wish that I could turn back the clock now and do things differently for many years, but that I can't do. I can only sit here and take responsibility for what I did. I'm guilty of doing what I did, but I'm trying to be the best person that I can be now.
David, on December the 9th last year, you were sacked by the PGMOL, and I think UEFA came to the same decision. And there's reports that you might have lost £2 million in future earnings from that. Can you just talk to us about how that was relayed to you and how tough it's been to hear that and to go through what you have?
It's been incredibly tough because I loved the game and I loved what I did. And, I started refereeing when I was 14, and now I'm in my early 40s. I have nearly 30 years of experience of refereeing, and many games at the top level of English football. And I understood immediately the implications and the seriousness of the situation that I found myself in, and the position that the PGMOL were finding themselves in. And they had a job to do, and they had to investigate, and they had to come to a conclusion that was the best conclusion for the game. And I understand that, and they've been incredibly supportive throughout the process. Actually, they've helped with regard to a production of a psychologist who's been a wonderful help, and equally for the subsequent course that I've embarked upon. And without that support, the support of my colleagues and everybody else, then I'm not sure I'd be here today. If I'm honest, the whole, in particular, when the stories broke in the first instance, I was in an incredibly dark place. I've found it easier since knowing my fate and being able to take stock of where I am as a person, to reevaluate what's important to me, to spend some quality time with family and friends that I haven't had the opportunity to, for the reasons that I've already outlined, with regard to the scheduling, and actually to take a little bit of time to make sure that I'm in the best place that I can be to move forwards, really.
And just lastly on this, the idea Liverpool definitely won't win the Premier League, and I think Andy Robertson at one point was referred to as a Scottish. Is that presumably something you regret saying and you don't believe?
As I've said previously, I regret lots of things that I've said that have been reported, and things that may or may not have been said in the moment. I certainly don't think that, and I have to say, everybody in the moment can be difficult on the football pitch. Everybody in the moment can actually be really decent on the football pitch as well, and some of the comments that we receive during games from players that you may not actually expect to receive in a positive sense actually would surprise many people, I think. So it's important to maintain that everybody who takes the football field is full of emotion. When we're involved in the game, things will be said that people don't mean. Things will be said subsequently that they don't mean. I'm pretty sure that there's been plenty of players or managers that have said some things about me and my refereeing or my decision making that they wouldn't necessarily sit here and say that they believe, and the same is true of us as match officials.
What is it like for you or any ref to have 60,000 people shouting and pointing and screaming the referees?
The 50 or 60,000 people or whatever it may be genuinely don't impact on us as much as what people would believe. We're constantly talking to each other and focusing on that as match officials. We're constantly reading and listening to, reading the signs and listening to the players that are on the field. So actually the noise in the stadium is actually, it really doesn't impact on us very much. What is more impactful is the things that you hear and the things that you see that are more individual and are more targeted. Those who decide to hang around for an hour or two after the game to individually abuse us as they're sort of hanging over the barriers. We leave the stadium. Those who take to social media, and even if we as the referees might not be on social media or might not see it, the impact that has on our friends and our family who do see it, and why shouldn't they be on social media? And it's abhorrent, some of the things that are said. It really is, and that has more impact on us as individuals and us as people.
How bad has the abuse been that you have received personally?
I've received death threats. I had an accelerated response tag on my address from if I was to speak to the police or if I was to ring the police.
Can you just tell us about the death threats?
I had my old Instagram tag was released on a fan social media platform forum, and I received friend requests, message requests that were abhorrent. There were death threats. There were wishes that I had a accident on the way home, but I didn't die. That I was paralysed and suffered for the rest of my life. I hoped my mum would die of AIDS overnight in her sleep. Multiple others along similar lines, that people write without accountability, and I just can't see how that in any ways is acceptable to think of, to type. There's standard abuse that comes in on a regular basis, but there are some that cross any sort of line of acceptability.
Is there any idea going into refereeing just how you become a public profile?
It's strange, really, because nobody really prepares you for moving through the levels, and particularly the Premier League, which is like a goldfish bowl in its own way when you're part of it. And you don't actually apply for promotion. People just take a judgment on your performances and you as a person, and give you the opportunity at a new level. And all of us who operate at the top levels of the game, we're just normal guys, football fans who have been fortunate enough to be selected to move through the levels and then find ourselves at the top level of the game.
Are you aware of other refs and footballers that are gay and yet don't feel comfortable in publicly declaring their sexuality?
The numbers of people that are involved in the game would show that there must be others that are in the same position as what I am. And I really do hope that by talking as candidly as I have about each of the situations I've found myself in, but also the difficulties and the struggles I've had over time, that they'll find some solace in that. I've had some wonderful memories and experiences of being a referee at the top level of the game, and I don't want that to go missing in the midst of all of what I've said, because some of the games that I've seen, some of the places that I've been, and the experiences that I've had, I'm really fortunate as a football fan to have seen them at such close quarters and to have taken part in them.
Do you have any ideas sitting here now of what football can do to be more inclusive?
I don't have an easy answer. Is my honest answer to that. It's a really difficult world to work in. To be me in football wasn't easy. I know that, and I just found I didn't want to be that. I didn't want to stand out from the crowd. I didn't want to draw unnecessary attention to myself, and I understand why others wouldn't want to do the same as well. I've no doubt that if somebody did, there'd be a lot of support for them to do so. But also, I know that they would be opening themselves up to some of the things that I've talked about in terms of online abuse and prejudicial views that really have no place in the society that we live in. I really hope that by highlighting the difficulties of the job and by saying, laying some context that I'm not just a referee, I'm a human being, and every official that takes the pitch up and down the country, from a local playing field to the Premier League, is a human being. I've struggled and I've tried to get through it in my own way, and made some poor decisions in doing so. But I hope that others make better decisions than I have, and that referees are given a bit of an easier ride in the levels of scrutiny and the levels of abuse that may come in their direction.